What started with a rally on Freedom Plaza just a few blocks away ended with a march to the White House. Throughout the day, protesters demanded a ceasefire in Gaza.
It's horrifying. I think I've cried pretty much like every day for the past 3 months.
Those tears turned to chants, filling the streets of D.C. all day as the Israel-Hamas war rages on in Gaza, with protesters sharing a common goal.
We're here to protest, to tell the United States government, tell Biden, tell everyone in charge, we have to do something. We have to cease fire now, and we have to let the Palestinians be free.
We want a ceasefire, and we sympathize very much with the Palestinians.
I think ceasefire is just the beginning. We need a permanent ceasefire, and we need a freedom of Palestine.
A few moments later.
All right, guys, so if you weren't aware, there was another insurrection at the White House, because this is what the left has told us is defined as an insurrection. Anybody that essentially tries to take over a government building over a policy disagreement, okay? And the individuals that have been essentially trying to do that for the last, 6 or 7 months now are the pro-Palestinian activists, right, who showed up to D.C. a couple nights ago and basically tried to invade the White House, okay? They tried to take down the White House fence, okay? They were outside. They were, again, in my opinion, rioting, okay, committing acts of political violence, and the White House apparently had to be evacuated. Now, you probably didn't hear about this because the mainstream liberal media ignored it, right? They're trying their best to ignore the violent left-wing extremists because it doesn't fit the narrative, okay? But this stuff is going to continue to escalate as the war in the Middle East is escalating, as it seems like Yemen is getting involved, and there's a whole lot of stuff happening that could escalate the conflict and what is going on. So I really don't see an end in sight here, okay? And if this continues up until the election, almost certainly this could be the nail in Joe Biden's coffin in regards to the 2024 election. Because like I told you guys, as soon as this conflict started, that this is the Democrat Party's Achilles heel, okay? There are a ton of people who are saying, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden over this Israel-Palestine conflict, and is only escalating as now you have government workers that are saying that, hey, we're going to walk out, okay, over what is happening in the Middle East. And I want to talk about a lot of this stuff because, again, it's only going to get worse and it smells disaster for the Biden administration. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Virtual Shield. One of the big four mobile carriers has quietly updated their terms of service to include content that they don't agree with. That means starting now, they will fine users who commit perceived violations using their cell phone bandwidth. These fines can be as high as $500 per violation. And what's worse is that there's no clear understanding in regards to what content will or will not be deemed to be against their rules. This is why I highly recommend and use Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield is a military-grade VPN that allows me to browse the web without the prying eyes of my mobile cell phone carrier, internet service provider, or cyber criminals. My internet data is encrypted in just 2 clicks. Plus, my personal data is even safer with Virtual Shield's online data removal service and built-in ID monitoring service with up to $1 million in identity theft protection insurance. Ensuring my identity is held protected by the best. Try Virtual Shield risk-free for 60 days with no commitment necessary. That includes support for unlimited bandwidth, anonymous browsing, and fast internet speeds across all devices that have Virtual Shield installed. Try it now before signups end by going to virtualshield.com/BCP. Once again, that's virtualshield.com/BCP.
Funding Hamas and the Houthis are being handled. But people mad at the president are really mad. Demonstrators with signs about Yemen and Gaza tried to topple a temporary security fence Saturday night. The Secret Service sized up the crowd and tells us, as a precaution, some members of the media and staff in proximity to Pennsylvania Avenue were temporarily relocated while the issue was being addressed. The Secret Service made no arrests associated with the march, and there was no property damage to the White House or adjacent buildings. White House officials are not reversing support for Israel. However, they do back some subtle changes, urging Israel to wind down the campaign in Gaza.
The next logical phase here, as they have put pressure on Hamas leadership, is to get to lower intensity operations, more targeted, more precise raids, less airstrikes. We believe it's time to make that transition, and we have had that conversation with them.
The next act of defiance in D.C., a potential walkout tomorrow by administration, staff, and federal workers. Speaker Mike Johnson got wind of this already. He says any government worker who walks off the job to protest U.S. support for our ally Israel is ignoring their responsibility and abusing the trust of taxpayers. They deserve to be fired. Not much happening here on a federal holiday in Washington, D.C., but President Biden is going to return from Camp David and a service event in Philadelphia. We hope to get some insight from him about all of this. Bill.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So apparently, once again, these people have special rights and privileges in order to be able to wage what Democrats would call an insurrection if this was a group of Trump supporters that were trying to invade the White House, right? Again, it's funny how there's a mainstream liberal media blackout in regards to what happened just a few days ago at the White House, but you saw people trying to scale the fence. They're trying to take down the fence, which technically is damaging government property, okay? And there were no arrests made, okay? You had people that were relocated, aka evacuated, out of the vicinity, White House staff and media, but again, no coverage, right? No real conversations about why this continues to happen in our country, where we have these people that seem to be trying to use political violence in order to achieve a policy goal, right? Which again is something that Democrats would call an insurrection. Again, could you guys imagine if all these people were MAGA hat wearing, conservatives or Republicans, and they were trying to scale the White House fence because of some policy they disagree with from Joe Biden, right? The mainstream liberal media will be losing their minds, okay? They'd be talking about how people are in danger across the country because of this happening, right? But you have these protests that, in my opinion, again, some of these protests are violent, and you don't have the mainstream liberal media covering it the same way that they would be covering it if, again, this was a group of Trump supporters or conservatives. Again, it's amazing how that works. But again, what really blows my mind is the fact that there were no arrests made, okay? You have on video people trying to scale the fence, okay? You're trying to scale the fence to try to get into the White House. You should be arrested, right? You should be arrested. The fact that there are no arrests is why this continues to happen, because we're not sending the right signal to these people in regards to the acceptable form of protest. If you go and you protest peacefully, hey, I have no problems with that. That's freedom of speech. But once you start trying to scale the White House fence, hey, now you're getting into a different territory. But again, like a lot of these stories, these people don't really face the consequences for their actions, and this is why you continue to see it. But hey, this is in Washington, D.C., liberal town, where they can get away with this. However, there are some parts of the country where they can't get away with it. Like, for example, Texas, as a pro-Palestinian protester tried the Texas governor as he was giving a speech at an event. And let's just say he effed around and he found out very quickly that you can't try that in Texas. Take a look.
All right, how we doing?
Yeah, so that video right there is an example of the phrase "don't mess with Texas" and where it comes from, okay? Because you tried that in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they immediately stopped it, okay? Immediately kicked that guy out where he started boo-hoo whining, screaming and crying, trying to disrupt an event with his nonsense. So with that being said, again, you're going to have people that are fed up with this type of stuff, and you're going to start to see more videos like that and more things like that happen because these people are being agents of chaos. However, they're useful agents of chaos because, again, this issue is fracturing the Democrat Party, and as war continues to escalate in the Middle East, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse, okay? I am just hoping that they just bother the Democrats, right? If they bother the Democrats, okay, if they protest the Democrats, hey, I'm not going to say anything, okay? I don't have any dog in this fight. I'm just going to sit back and say, you know what? It is what it is. Just don't block traffic, right? Don't block traffic. Don't be out here making regular people's lives worse or inconveniencing us for beef that you got with the Biden administration. I'm just saying. I have no problems with them taking it up with the Democrats and making their lives hard, right? In fact, they should go out here and, you know, tell their constituents that, hey, they shouldn't vote for Biden, right? Don't vote for Biden, okay? I love that aspect of it, but what I don't like, again, is the inconvenience that they're trying to cause for everyday, normal, average citizens who don't have anything to do with what's going on with Israel and Palestine. And, you know, inconveniencing us and making our lives miserable is not going to change the situation, right? So, again, this is a case of the Democrat Party and the extremism that they have fostered in this country, making the woke revolutionaries think that stuff like this is okay. It's turning back on the Democrats, and they're facing the consequences for it. And I'm not going to really disturb them too much while it's happening, right? I'm going to sit back and watch it happen. But at the same time, I just ask these people, your beef is with Democrats, right? Not with the rest of society. So just keep it with them. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.